This is Travis, and you're listening to the Kentucky X-Files.
It was coming towards me. Just crouched down. For me, at first, I thought it was a distant voyage thing.
I thought it was a bear. You can tell the difference between like a small, spindly-legged creature and something with a larger foot. And it was big, whatever it was. It ran straight down at us and it just stopped. And it was pitch black. Couldn't see it.
And most of these witnesses that have come close to these things could have been killed.
It was beating on the side of the house. I didn't get the side of the house as it went by.
Now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was a throne.
Right, like I needed someone to have pure faith in a higher power at that moment, and nobody fucking did.
Welcome back, guys, to the Kentucky X-Files. Yep, there. It's good. It's good to be there.
Hey, do we want to let the people know like why we have to do this episode again?
Know what?
Do you want to just be transparent, or do you want? Should we glaze over it?
Let's just say.
You know?
I just want to say because I'm going to be that guy. I want to see if you guys want to join me on this. Okay, we're on a lovely Sunday, recording this for tomorrow's episode because Friday actually some things went awry. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to let the fans know is that if you want to hear that gem of a recording, why don't you go to our Patreon and you'll I think Denny is going to upload it there, and if you want to listen to it, I think that's what you should do.
I think to give them an idea of what they're biting into, you could probably break it down to, we were about 20 minutes into this same episode Friday when the Gibbs mead took hold.
And we couldn't stop there.
And in between the mead and the hell was the beer we were drinking?
Shotgun Wedding by Country Boy. And Cougar Bait.
Yeah. So
and mead on top. It was. And I'm not even talking about a little bit of mead here. I'm talking. We blew through a wine bottle of mead first, didn't we? Yeah.
And then the growler came out.
My infinite wisdom. I was like, well, I'll just go get a half gallon.
Yeah, and then that came out, and we've already read the email that we're going to read to you guys on this episode. But here's the thing. Technically speaking, this will be the first time that any of us has read it again or heard it because I'm even looking at it and I don't even recognize what I'm looking at. So I know that when I read this on the other, I probably didn't even read it correctly, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I've got to listen to a little bit of that as you described it, that gem. And it's exactly that. It is.
I think we should definitely carefully proofread or proof listen to that one together and select certain things to be put on.
Yeah, highlights.
Highlights for the Patreon. Others should just be dissolved forever.
Yeah. I realized what an editing nightmare it was as soon as I started listening to it, because we, as drunkards as we were, we are very sidetracked. So, and we're jolly. And that's not bad, that's a great thing. But when you're doing a podcast, there's very bad combos.
Terrible combination.
Because we start talking, and then all of a sudden, I didn't even remember this. We just start talking about something that has nothing to do with anything. Mm-hmm. And that was the episode. we like did the email and then immediately went into something that had nothing to do with the show at all for the next like 15 minutes. And
was that when we were talking about the music?
It might have been, but I was cracking up. I don't remember, man, but I was cracking up so hard over it. It was so funny.
Oh, God.
May not be funny to people. I don't know, but, you know. But here we are.
Round two. I can't wait to hear this email for the first time again.
Yep. And those of you folks who are listening on Spotify and iTunes, et cetera, so forth, you're probably getting this episode and the last episode a week late, and that is Anchor's fault. So, Anchor is turning over the RSS rights of our podcast to our new hosting platform, Spreaker, which is really cool. And yeah, so the little show is getting bigger.
And I think we should also mention that we had all agreed that the emails deserved better attention than we were able to give.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
There was a cumulative of events that caused Friday night's drink-a-thon.
Absolutely.
And it was a necessary thing for all of us, I believe. And it may have gotten away for the show for one night, but here we are.
Yeah.
Recording. Here we are recording.
That was something Friday night I wanted to make sure that I said it, let the people know that listen, hey, my wife is going into surgery on her heart this coming Thursday for a mitral valve prolapse, and it's upsetting to her. It's upsetting to our whole family. It's upsetting to everybody. We hate to see Mama down. So you guys out there, if you want to send good vibes, prayers, whatever, we'd appreciate it. I know she'll appreciate it, and thank you ahead of time, because I know there's some great people out there, and they're definitely good, like some of the best people ever, honestly, is the people who listen to this show. And I'm not just biased about that either. I'm sure other people that listen to other shows are good too, but just not as good as ours.
Right.
One thing though, I promised to do is before we get into this email real quick, I'm the guy who breeds pythons, who listens to our show all the time, Balls May Bite.
Yeah.
He had a dear friend of his named Erica Frazier of Brooksville, Kentucky. She went missing in October 21st, 1996. Hasn't been seen or heard from since. Anybody out there, if you got any information or overheard something, anything, just please contact the KSP or the Bracken County Sheriff's Office and let them know something. And we appreciate it. And if this little show can help in any way to bring a family some kind of closure, or even help locate a missing person, that would make me feel wonderful. And I'm sure their family will appreciate it. So I wanted to make sure we got that in this time, before whatever. But yeah, we got an interesting email if you guys are ready for it. Again.
I'm ready again.
I am ready.
And it's funny too, like I said, I'm looking at it and it's like I don't even recognize it. Like I feel like I'd never read it before, so that's good, I guess. Let's see here. This email came through last Wednesday. The title of the email says Kentucky Game and Wildlife Officer Encounter. Let's see here. Hey fellas, I'm a new listener, and I'm not 30 to 40 minutes from where I believe you guys are located. I have been an officer for years, and if you want to know, I'll tell you in private how many years, but there isn't too many of us, so I don't want to identify myself or be known by how many years I've been here. And I definitely am not sure I want to be known for what I'm going to relay to you. These encounters you talk about, they happen. And they've happened for a good long time, as I've come to believe. Years ago, it was indicated to me that there are often what we call spooky calls or creature call-ins. I have a good friend who's a wildlife officer, and he frequents the 3 or 4 nearby parks and many others throughout the area, as he's been transferred back and forth throughout the years. He has recorded interesting experience from folks all over the place. Sometimes we are sent out if there's some seriousness to the situation. For example, goats being pulled apart limb by limb. Another was a horse taken down. These can be dismissed basically as a will never know, or will probably never know. Many times we've questioned people who have on several occasions described giant men or giant large dark figures. In this day and age, it is difficult to go off of descriptions like that, especially while there are other more important things going on. There's no arrests ever made, and nothing ever usually comes from it. But there's so many, it's hard to dismiss. So I'll follow up with you guys in a day or two when I have some free time. I love your show. I listen to it all night. Signed, Peace Officer. Wow. So, there you have it. So I think this is, if you exclude Landis, this is our first real, official who's actually contacted us and, let us know about things that they've, overheard and noticed, throughout the years, I guess. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's not 30 to 40 minutes from where he believes we are located can be, it's a little disturbing.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay. But the one thing that I'm a little, how to put it, I'm a little dazed on.
Yeah.
On the whole thing, I guess because of when we heard the story the first time, I didn't kind of catch it, or I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, creature call-ins and animals being goats being ripped apart.
Yeah.
Okay. For one thing too is we've had so many other people, especially okay, let's go back to one of our older episodes. Another YouTuber, from Swan Lake.
Oh yeah, Robert.
Robert.
Yeah.
He said that he was trying to take care of his goats by giving them an injection or something of that nature, and he said he got dropped on his head.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that? So, I'm not trying to say just because they're very protective of, I guess, certain animals. I'm not saying I guess they would eat something when it's necessary.
Right.
This is just a speculation because I don't know for sure, but I just think it's a little weird because, okay, on one hand, you'll get an encounter like that, once in a lifetime encounter like that, you being picked up.
Right.
And I don't know, if you guys out there watch Robert, he's not he's a small, a skinny guy, but he's a grown man.
Yeah.
Just picking him up and then dropping him on his head, you mean you would have to flip him midair to drop him down, and he's probably within 150 pounds, maybe more. So that takes quite a bit of strength just to catch somebody that off guard, to lift them up and drop them. And so I don't know, maybe if this would be considered the big guy, or
right,
that maybe some of them are very protective of other animals, or some of them are not. Or it could go back to what we kept saying, what I was saying on last week's episode. There's different types. The ones that kind of look that are more aggressive are the ones that kind of give the characteristics of a dog man.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm heading in this direction for. It's because to try to paint the narrative for a big for the big guy, he's not a very aggressive unless he's threatened. Right. But you don't hear about a lot of these stories about animals being ripped apart unless there's something else involved with that. Because
in all honesty, though, you kind of have, though. Think about cattle mutilations,
mm-hmm.
animal mutilations all throughout farms all over the United States. You know what I mean? That's a pretty known phenomenon.
That typically falls under the alien jurisdiction, though.
It does. That's true.
It does, but we don't know for a fact that's an alien-related thing. We just assume.
Who's to say that? Let's go way out on the limb here, and what if the two are not mutually exclusive? What if the whole idea of the Bigfoot is an alien?
There's people that do follow that, right? Yeah, that say that they are linked for sure.
Yeah, they. I know that they've said that so many times, and I even said the same thing. If they're not linked, but if they're not linked in like they are aliens or something of that nature, I would say they're more along the lines like aliens are experimenting with them too. If they know, like, because everybody's had that experience where they said that they've been abducted and they've been like tested on.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if another species comes from another planet and they're studying intelligent life and they see another one that's like following kind of in suit with us, for a fact they're going to be testing with them. They're like,
everything about his email, though, it sounds like normal stuff until he gets to the horse part.
Yeah, taking down horses.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, goats being ripped apart, I mean, you can chalk that up to wild dogs or coyotes or bobcats or, even a feral hog. That's stuff that happens and can happen around here. Right. But let's face it, man, a horse is not a small animal.
That's true.
Most of the big predators that would be around here, they would go after the smaller things like a goat.
Yeah.
Right.
So taking like
or even smaller,
Yeah.
So most of it's going to be hunting rabbits and squirrels.
But I just don't understand. Like, I wish hopefully he kind of elaborates if he hears this part or whenever, if you haven't sent anything back to him, Denny, since I don't know if you've messaged him back yet.
I actually have not yet. I was going to type up something tonight and send it over to him to let him know, keep it coming. I want to hear more.
I would like, because he said that he would elaborate more. I want to elaborate more on him saying take down a horse.
Yeah.
Like did he mean like something literally picked this horse up and just dropped it or something? Like, did somebody see that, or
right?
They actually kill it or something? Is that what he means by takedown?
Yeah,
it's like he killed it.
That's kind of what I'm curious about too. Is like, what's the exacts on that one? What are we talking about? Like the circumstances?
Yeah, because it's going off of what Gibbs was saying. It's like a horse. Yeah. Wow, like
right.
I know we've said this too, is that like around here we're starting to get sightings of bobcats and stuff.
Yeah.
I know that they probably, if they were felt threatened by the thing, I could see them try to go for the throat. That's something that to be on a defensive, taking it down that way.
Yeah.
But if it was killed, I want to know, as morbid as it may sound, I want to know if this was torn apart.
Truthfully, I mean, growing up around horses, I would have to say, if a bobcat would try it, you would, even if somehow he managed to get the horse down, you would have a dead bobcat laying right next to that horse, or not far from it.
It's going to take a hell of a lot more than a bobcat.
Yeah, a bobcat
think
is
about,
small.
There's videos from Florida of horses stomping 12-foot alligators.
Yeah. They're not. Yeah, they're no joke. I mean, it's a machine of muscle.
Yeah,
some of them are scared. And they scare easily, and they spook and they run. But the others that don't are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, we had a big, a pretty good size. I think he was a walker on our farm whose name was Buck, and he got his name because he took no shit. I mean, he would. He wouldn't even take shit from another horse. Like, he was like, didn't care if it was a snake or a squirrel or what, just get away from me. And he would stomp shit. He would, that's just his nature. He didn't like being messed with.
I'm just going to go out and say it right now that was a missed opportunity to name a horse Chuck.
No shit, right?
If you've got a walker that kicks ass, there's only one I know of.
You're right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't name him, but if I did, that would have been at
the top of the list.
Yep. Yeah, that's old Norris right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I granted, it's good to have you around here because I don't know dick about fucking horses, so it actually helps like kind of paint a bigger picture of like how these animals would defend themselves if a predator came around. So
stomp and kick.
Yeah,
the only thing I can think of that would do significant damage to a horse. I mean, to take a horse down. I mean, you're talking a bull. A bull could do it. Even a heifer could do it.
A pack of wolves.
Pack of wolves could do it.
Bear.
Yeah, a bear. I mean, there's
none of which we have roaming around here wildly.
Right.
I mean, there are no, angry bulls just charging through fields and eating and killing horses and shredding.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a bull would have the weight you need, but
yeah,
I mean, 9 out of 10 times a horse is, it'll kick the shit out of a bull too,
and outrun it.
But another thing. Yep. So you're saying, like, okay, with that being said, what could be around here that could take down a horse? People. Oh yeah, people.
I mean, people could do it,
Yeah.
What would be the point? Like, I know people. I know there's a lot of people out there because that. I hate to bring this up, Denny. Like, I know I personally haven't found anything since we talked about it, but the whole seal thing. It's like.
Yeah, right.
It has to be outside. Like, it actually has to be people. Like, I can't see it not being people because, like, teenagers or some dickheads messing and literally mutilating these animals.
See,
so
that whole scenario with the seals, though, it's like I've kind of stepped back away from it because I'm like, that's ocean stuff, and for me, ocean stuff is like it's infinitely more unknowable than
like outer space.
It's like outer space. It's like there's so much of the ocean we don't know that I didn't even want to bother because I'm like, we've got people that are like dedicate their lives to studying the ocean that have no idea what's at the bottom of some of these trenches.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
I don't know if I don't know if I've heard this like on a movie. Hopefully it wasn't a movie, but I heard that they said that we've mapped out like a lot more of like outer space than we have of our own oceans.
Yeah,
that's actually true.
Yep.
That's crazy because like you got to think like getting farther and farther down, you can't like any machine you can make a very sturdy machine to go down, but everything has a breaking point. Like, I don't know what's the
crush depth.
Yeah, the crush depth for like certain things. Like, I know 1,600 feet for like a normal submarine, or 1,800 feet or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
And I don't know how far most of these sea floors are, like how far, like how I don't even know how I don't want to say it, the Mariana Trench, how deep that is.
Yeah.
So I
don't know
if anybody out there knows that, but like
the deepest a submarine has went was 35,797 feet.
Okay, so I was way off.
Yeah, but that was a purpose-built submarine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I was saying, like, yeah, as far as like this email goes, though, it's like the one thing that gets me on it is we've got an officer who's relatively close, who's basically writing in and saying that, yeah, you know what, some weird stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And has been. And
it's actually like, but okay, let's put it this way. Just like anybody's going to have some rational thoughts on this. And he's actually probably heard it all, especially giving it a name like Creature Call-ins and stuff of that nature.
No doubt.
Yeah, so he's heard it all. So I would assume that he would have some type of assumption what could have done this in his area.
Right.
Like these types of things. So I wonder if he does he makes it sound like he does believe that there's something weird going on. These sightings, so there's like he is one of the believers of like Sasquatch or any type of other cryptid out there. So like, because I guess it's happening so often that in a way that it's making it's just not making sense for somebody to be out at this time or doing this to these animals,
right?
For him to say, just go ahead and say it's this,
right? Yeah. I mean, the one thing that kept crossing my mind even while reading it was, okay, so if it is a cryptid of some sort, that's interesting. If it's a person, that dude has fucking problems. Like there's a bigger problem than a Sasquatch going on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if you're out there doing shit to animals like that, like how long until you do it to a person? Like
they even say that's the first sign of a serial killer is that, like, because they want to feel superior. They do it on defenseless animals. So, yeah, I feel like if it is a human being, you're right. It's this person has some issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely am looking forward to hearing more. More in depth, and hopefully he follows up with us because
for sure.
Oh yeah,
especially if he would be gracious enough to give us some locations that I could add to the map, and
or if he would call in,
that would be that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
if we could get him on, we'll distort his voice or whatever,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's something that we can do out there, folks. If you want to tell your story but you're afraid to, we can distort your voice. We can make it sound like somebody else. We can protect your identity. That's no big deal. If you want to tell it, get it off your chest, let us know. Encounters, kyxfiles.com. Don't be shy. Also, this week sometime, I should have the beginning of the Monster Tracker maps uploaded onto the Patreon. You probably heard it when this episode started. The very first patron, I should say, is Travis, and he introduced this episode. So thank you, Travis, for being such a huge supporter.
Yay!
And I thought it would be cool to just put him right at the beginning of the show. We just, have to, we just won't tell our intro lady about it. You know what I mean? Because, she's great. You know what I mean? She's great, but I think it's pretty cool to from going forward to let people send us in voicemails and intro the show. You know what I mean? I think it'd be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think that's like, because we've always said that this show is more theirs than it is ours.
Yeah,
we're on the same journey together. You guys are helping us, like with these stories, helping us with the Monster Tracker, with all these sightings.
Yep.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like I got tongue tied there, but
occurred to me the other day was I've never actually come out and just asked Travis if he's had an encounter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, this whole time he's been supporting the show, and I've never thought to just be like, hey, have you had something happen? Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, he needs to be on the show anyways. He won, remember?
He did.
We were never able to link up. It was the timing just kept going off.
Yeah. I like to get him on one night to just have a roundtable discussion about this stuff, and just see what we can do, see what we can come up with.
And that's the other thing too, is you don't have to have an encounter story to talk to us. Like, if you just want to be a guest on the show and kind of put your perspective out, if you've got something you're thinking of that you haven't heard before, do it.
Because me and Josh here, we've never had I guess you would say, a typical sighting on any of this. Denny's the only one that might have had some type of encounter.
Yeah, a weird experience.
Yeah, weird experience. So this is more along the lines is that we're trying to, as me especially starting this podcast with Denny, was more along the lines is that I do believe that there could be something out there, or things that we don't know, because there's so many things that just comes out of nowhere that you're like, oh my god, that was real this whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a type of thing that it's eluded us for so long. Could it be real?
Yeah, see, for me, my thing that happened a long time ago was the strange lights in the sky.
Yeah.
So I grew up on quite a large farm with a lot of woods around, and I never had anything, Sasquatchy,
right,
so to speak, happen. But I would also hang out in the middle of the pasture at night and look up, and I'd seen some really weird stuff, as far as that goes. And I was big into aviation, so I could recognize a plane or a helicopter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has that moment where something happens where it makes you kind of stand back for a second and be like, "Wait, what? Yeah, what the hell was that?"
Exactly.
But yeah, I again though, I think you're right. I mean, anybody you want to jump on here with us bullshit about this and basically just join a round table discussion,
I definitely want to hear some more alien stories,
Yeah, me too.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, for sure. That's something we haven't dug super deep into, but it's something that I would really like to talk to people about.
That's my favorite section of all of this, is the alien side of things.
Yeah.
So give me your alien stories, guys. Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Would love to hear that. I like hearing about the UFO stuff. I definitely like hearing the paranormal, the ghost stuff, it's always going to be interesting to me.
Yep.
Just recently I found I bookmarked it. It was on Pinterest. It said possible Wendigo sighted in Red River Gorge, Kentucky.
On Pinterest? On Pinterest?
Or not, on Pinterest. And somebody, it popped up when I was researching cryptids, and I just kind of saved it. I haven't actually looked into it yet, but I was like, I have a thing about the whole Wendigo story, because it's like, I do believe there's some confusions, if you talk to Native Americans about the Wendigo, they set you straight pretty quick, about what it is, and why you don't really mess with it. And so it's really hard to believe that somebody sees one and is still there to type out their story on Pinterest,
Right.
That's
on Pinterest of all places.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we're saying that wrong.
Pinterest.
Is it just Pinterest?
Yeah, Pinterest. I think that's what it's called.
Pinterest. Pinterest.
No, he's right. Pinterest.
Pinterest. Oh God, we're butchering it. I think.
Yeah.
Pinterest. Pinterest.
Pinterest.
But
Pinterest.
I always pronounced it Pinterest.
Pinterest.
That's what I always.
That's what I say.
Oh my God. Okay, let's move on.
So I got another email.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you guys want it or.
I didn't know if we were going to do that tonight, but yeah, hey, hit us.
Yeah,
hit us in the face. Just punch him right in the mouth.
Let's rock and roll.
Slap me in the mouth. Tell me all about it.
The other email here says hang on, let me open it up all the way here so I can see the Bigfoot in Piner, Kentucky. So you guys want
definitely have my interest.
All right, so it says here, looks like it's from someone named Ray, R-A-E. Is that how you say that, Ray? I guess so.
Yeah.
I've heard the story from several folks out there, fellas. It's to the point now where we all just kind of go, yep, Bigfoot's around. It's disturbing to think that they could be right there. I've never been afraid of the dark, only what hides in it. It's well said. Put it that way. I'm going to have to remember that.
What do you say? Sorry.
Said, I've never been afraid of the dark, only what hides in it. Not sure how I feel about that dogman stuff, but I've come to believe in the big guy for sure. I was out doing yard work one morning, and I could have sworn I saw something huge cross the yard in an instant. You might have guessed it. I live about 5 minutes away from Piner. Since then, I'm always keeping my ears open, and I do trust my gut instinct, Denny. Thank you. P.S. Don't beat on Tyler. He's a sweetie. P.S.S. Josh, you should sell some of that mead. From Ray. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Ray.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you writing in like that, and definitely would like to hear more about that. Whatever you thought you saw going across your yard.
Yeah, I
would love to know
the
more
size of it too is would be nice to figure out.
Absolutely.
And I would assume that for him to actually know what the to say this what the sighting could be, like Bigfoot. So I'm assuming that it was bipedal.
Yeah, I mean, all it says here is I could have sworn I saw something huge cross the yard in an instant.
Huge. Okay, so it was big.
So it was big, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to get back to us with some more details of that morning and tell us everything, the area that you're talking about is definitely it's on our radar big time. So
yeah, you're not the first person to tell us about something from there. That's for sure. That's pretty awesome. I love that you guys are reaching out more, and you're helping a lot just by giving us more pins we can put on the map. You know what I mean? So if you want to do that, give us some more details, write us again and again. That'd be awesome. And I know the fans out there listening are gonna appreciate hearing everything they can. But another one from Piner, Josh. How you feeling about that? I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. There's a lot of dense woods out that way.
Yeah, you know, did I tell you guys I took a ride? Me and the old lady, just to kind of clear our heads. We jumped in the car, took a ride. I took a GoPro along with me, and we drove all the way out there, and just did a big loop. I don't know if I told you guys about that. I probably told you Friday, but we were all. I think we were AFK.
Yeah.
But we took a ride, and I've got that footage. I was thinking about sticking it on the old Patreon, and just, you know, if anybody's interested in the area we're talking about, let me know. Put it in the comments. You know, we'll put a video up of it. It'll be really simple. It's just some footage of the surrounding areas and basically me pointing out, like, you know, dense woods and things like that. You know. I know we did drive through the area from the email from last week, if I can find that, and I do think that I've got, if it's where I think it is, then I think I've got the spot, because going back to that email,
you and I were talking about this because I took a short video coming back where we thought it was initially.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been there because there are no hills.
Yeah.
Other than a riverbank, and you can't see it from the road.
Right, yeah. So I know it says here, it says across the street from a well-known bridge and train crossing. So that's where I was kind of curious, because a little bit farther north is a train crossing bridge, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right, and a little bit further south as well.
Okay, so we've got two spots that could be it. I went south and took a look at it, and it fits the description, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, you know, I'd love to hear more from that one and keep on tracking it, but I honestly think that whatever was seen is heading towards Piner. Honestly, it just seems like it is.
And you could from that area, you know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how long it takes it to get there, but if you're in Piner, definitely keep your eyes peeled, and if you see anything, shoot us a message, let us know. And I would definitely love to get up to Piner sometime and do some snooping. You know, at least take a look around and see where we need to go from there. You know, what's next. I mean, judging from the encounter over there in Alexandria, and then that one, I mean, it's a rough but pretty clear southwest trajectory, you know what I mean, on the old monster tracker. So if he keeps holding that path, then yeah, I think Piner or around Piner. When I was taking that drive, though, the area around Piner, it's like trying to find a needle in a stack of needles.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be some simple thing to pick one out, you know. So I don't know. I after reading that email and you know, pretty much being blown away by it, I did start looking into some of the other sightings that I dismissed, which were road crossings, and I found something really interesting in that. The road crossing sightings usually, so they describe the direction that the road crossings happen in. I don't know if you guys are following me on this, but a lot of those road crossings, they describe the path, the direction that the thing is crossing the road, and I can correlate, I'd say 7 out of 10 of those to match up with the trajectory of the monster tracker, of the sightings that I left in. So I don't know if going back and reevaluating those sightings again would be worth it, but it might give us a much more clear path just by adding more sightings to it. Just got to be careful with adding sightings, because I have a criteria that I stick to, and adding a new acceptable thing to that is a little hard to do, because if pretty soon you're accepting this this behavior, and then the next thing you're like, well, it did this, so maybe that's believable, so you add that in, and I tried to stick to waters, like water crossings or water bodies of water close by, directional, the frequency, that's a big deal there, is how long in between. Like there was one that me and Tyler read on one of the monster trackers where it basically said that 60 years before this sighting happened, an almost identical sighting happened in the same place. And the reason I dismissed it was because, in the older sighting, they saw the Bigfoot standing by the side of the road holding one arm up in the air. Like somebody waving as you went past, right? Then 60 years later, another sighting almost in the same spot, they see a Bigfoot standing there with his arm up in the air. The reason I dismissed that one is not because I think the person is a liar. I think that the first sighting was too unique to not take some interest in. It's that there was 60 years of that story passing around before the second one happened. So for 60 years, this story is going around town, it's going around whatever, and then all of a sudden, here we are 60 years later with the same spot, the same behavior. And I have a hard time with that. I mean, how hard would it be to say, like, oh, there was a Bigfoot at this spot, and then 60 years later, some dude goes up there and goes, oh, yeah, I saw one, man. It did the same thing. It held its arm up.
Right.
It's 60 years of telephone, So I had to dismiss that one. I didn't want to, but I had to. Because as much as my gut instinct is telling me that yes, something odd is happening, I can't drop the scientific method completely. Yeah. I have to follow the pattern, even if it leads to a guy in a suit. If it's a guy in a suit doing all this, I want to meet him just as bad as if it was Bigfoot.
And that's something I think we all agree on, and I know I've said it 100 times at least on this show, is that I don't know what everybody's seeing, and I can't say for fact that they're seeing a Bigfoot or a dogman. What I do know is that I want to know what they're seeing.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm excited about this, is because we try to look into it and figure out what it is.
Yeah. I know if it is a guy in a suit or several, they are very disciplined, put it that way. Because I've got them over a span of like 20 to 30 years doing this in Kentucky. So that's a long time to have a hobby. I mean, especially one would be physically demanding.
Right.
What I was saying, with you, what you were saying about why you had to dismiss that one, is more along the lines too, is that we started to accumulate a decent pattern. You said within 2 years they start to come back within these areas.
Yeah.
So it has like a year or two interval. So and that one, it finally happened again, identically 60 years later.
Right.
So
there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in those 60 years before I would accept that second sighting.
Yeah.
I would have to see a clear indication that the creature in question is literally making a path back to that same spot. And then I'd like to know, what the hell is he waving at and why? Mm-hmm. Is it like I'm waving because I finally made it back? It's been 60 years. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just curious. It just seemed odd to me, and I had to dismiss it. I just couldn't buy into it. You know, and there's a lot of that. You know what I mean? There is a lot of that stuff where it's, you know, you hear about it, you read about it, whatever, you see videos about it, you got all these made-for-TV monster hunter shows, and you can't help but wonder, like, okay, what are we actually doing here? Are we trying to figure this out, or are we just trying to sell commercials? What's the point? You know, what's the scoop? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, not only that, I mean, okay, let's assume for a second Bigfoot is real.
All right.
Right? What's the lifespan going to be on an animal that size?
Right.
Dude, that's funny you say that, because I said that back in like the beginning of this whole podcast. Because that size, like, okay, think about all the people, like actual like people like that are that size. Their body mass actually weighs them down more, and they actually say that people that are that like they have like that giant in them, they freaking like their body starts to wither away because of how much weight is bearing down on them.
Yeah.
So just to put it in perspective, chimpanzees average 39 years.
Right.
Orangutans 35 to 45 years, and silverback gorillas 35 to 40 years.
Okay.
So for the same creature to have been in the same location 60 years apart and be the same size, that would imply that this thing's lifespan is like 120, 130 years old. You know,
right. Yeah,
because it wasn't a juvenile in the beginning,
right?
And it wasn't a weathered old man at the end. So for it to happen like that, it would have had to have been in the center 60 years of its lifespan, and I just find that hard to believe.
See, that's the other thing too. Is we still have sightings of grayed out white Bigfoots.
Yeah,
older
what
ones.
The
old man in the forest or whatever.
Yeah, the old man of the forest. What was
that was Lee.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah.
It was Lee and him and his one buddy. Like, didn't he say it was like he was part of the military? I remember he said that after that sighting, he said he would never go back to that spot.
Right, he said never would go with him again.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, like how like these sightings can affect somebody.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you get out there and you're comfortable and you're enjoying it, and then you see something that totally scares the shit out of you. I could see it.
Especially if you never, like, you might have like humored it here and there. Maybe it could, maybe not, but you always feel that it's not real. Right. It's not real. But once you actually find out it's real, it's kind of like what I told Gibbs this when we were on location one night. I was like, I'm a little skeptical because I haven't had a kind of a big, really action in a ghost apparition way or something that made me feel uneased.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to be alone and find out that I'm wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's kind of like my way. Like I'm not above it saying that right now I don't know if the whole ghost thing is real, but I'm not above it saying that it's not real, blah blah blah. I don't care. I'll go in anywhere. I just don't want to be alone if I come to find out that I'm wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
well, it's built-in human instinct to fear the unknown. You know, it's what kept us alive. It kept us evolving. So it's not like we're just going to erase, hundreds of thousands of years of instinct just because we're skeptical. If we went out to a spot where Bigfoot has been sighted over and over again, regardless of our skepticism or whatever, we would be on edge. And it's just because we don't know. What if we're wrong? What if it's some crazy asshole in a suit out there? You know, it still bears being, you know, being careful and being aware, you know. So we start relying on our instinct more and more, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a threat possibility, you know. So,
yeah,
you know, regardless if we think it's real or not, it's, you know, if there's something that's higher up on the food chain than you, you're going to be alert for it, and, you know, if you go looking for ghosts, you're going to find them, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of like what we went over on that one episode about dragons. Their dragons are so depicted around medieval times and stuff of that nature and back and forth, but it was more of a scare tactic. But no matter what, even if you believed back then that it was fake, it was just more for war and scare tactics.
Yeah.
You still sat down like,
is it though?
Is it? Right. Is it? Like, so it's kind of one of those things. So no matter what, even if you don't believe, there's going to be that assumption that what if I am wrong? What if I am like,
right?
I'm just going off of like everybody else, like saying the same old thing, like, oh, the technology is so good today. Like, there's no way that we would have seen one by now.
Right. I don't know. That's one of those things too. Like I've heard the argument about technology.
Yeah.
We just got to get out of the mind state of yes, we have technology, but no, it does not make us, you know, omnipotent. We have thermal cameras. They can't see through trees. You know, you'll have a hard enough time just capturing a single deer on a thermal camera just because you're in the forest. You know, there's all kinds of things, you know. I mean, what is it? The game trails or whatever, you know, game cameras, trail cameras, you know, we have them everywhere. They're all over the United States at all times. And people say, well, why haven't we seen Bigfoots on these? Well, go out there and look. There's plenty of pictures and videos people have uploaded. And some of them are compelling. Some of them are interesting. But all of them are met with the same thing. Like, it's fake. That's a guy in a suit. Well, maybe. But maybe our idea of a guy in a suit is not the same. You know, there's been documented cases of wild people living in the woods, and, you know, there's entire islands out there of people who do not want to make contact with anybody. Yep. You know, it's just one of them things.
And you know, that's something I was thinking about too, is, you know, how a lot of people talk about the breeding population and how it can only be a certain amount to make it work. But how many people are on that island?
Let me see if I can find it here. I'm trying to find it.
Typed in island, and the first thing that came up was boys, and I'm not happy with my computer right now.
North Sentinel Island. Apparently here. That's what I'm coming up with. Okay, nope, that's not it. Scratch that one. Yeah, uncontacted island tribe, the Sentinelese. Okay.
Yeah, that's the right one.
Okay,
yeah.
So it doesn't say. I mean, even where it says the language, it says it's presumed that it's Sentinelese.
So there's a belief that it's between 50 and 400.
All right. 50 and 400.
Right.
Yeah, I would
for a population to maintain since just like right after prehistory, basically.
Right. It's I mean, even here it's saying that they probably don't even have any kind of metallurgy either. There's no metalwork. There's no iron.
Right. The arrows that are getting shot at like helicopters and stuff are stone.
Yeah. So it's interesting because this is, I mean, this is literally an island. I mean, it's 2022. Right. And this is an island not too far from India that has had there's no one has been on this island to study it. People have tried. But these people are hostile. They don't want anybody on their island. They don't want anybody there. So they do all kinds of stuff. They kill people. They killed a missionary. Let's see here. Let's see here. 2014 says there was a forest fire, aerial expedition followed by circumnavigation investigation. The effects of the forest fire, important data was gathered and expedition recorded that the fire did not seem to have affected the populace. They exhibited balances of age and sexes with a number of young children. Friendly hand gestures were noted, but the visitors did not go close to the island. It says 2014 expedition also recorded that the Sentinelese had adapted to the changes to their fishing grounds and were using their canoes to travel up half a kilometer from the shore. Let's see here. They have killed fishermen who have drifted near their island. I mean, I'm just all I'm saying is all I'm getting out of all this is we've got pockets of people on Earth that we don't even have a DNA sample from.
Right.
So, I mean, when you see pictures of them, it looks like they have face painting, and things like that. They look like human beings to me, you know what I mean? But we don't know. And without DNA tests, we need to know who are their ancestors. Where do they come from? Are we related, Do we have a common ancestor if they're not, exactly like our species, you know what I mean? And that's all stuff that's been done. There's 5 different, what is it called? Epoch groups or whatever of humans.
Like that, yeah.
Let's see here. Let me try to. Yeah. What is it called here? I guess they call them divisions. I guess that's a poor choice of word, but like just to give an example, a couple of the different divisions is Caucasoid, which represents people in Europe, West Asia, South Asia, Central Asia, North Africa, Horn of Africa. Aboriginoid, which would be your Aborigine people from Australia. So there's a lot, there's different divisions of people from where their people, where their ancestry's from. So what I'm curious about is this a new one,
Right.
And in regards to the Sasquatch,
see, I heard that the Sentinelese were people who escaped Africa.
Really?
Yeah. And I wish I could cite where I heard that from, but for the life of me, I cannot remember. That it is believed that they were running from the terrors and terrible things that happen in Africa with the different changes of regimes and the wars and everything that were constantly going on.
No kidding. Which
makes sense.
It would be awesome to hear it, to actually hear that story and to, you know what I mean? Like actually hear what they have to say and if it's true, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because for the most part, when I see the few pictures that we have of these folks, they kind of look like they're African descent, but then they also kind of look like they're Asian descent too. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
It's hard for me to kind of the idea is that maybe the Sentinelese are a bloodline about 60,000 years old. So I would love to know that, to see it. Like, okay, how do we know that? And if that's the case, then where do they come from? What happened? How did they get there? I mean, they're living on an island, so there's a story there.
Right.
Pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, I always wonder about stuff like this, modern day, 2022, and there's tribes that we've basically never met.
Yeah, and think there's probably tribes that we don't know we've never met. We just know we haven't met the Sentinel people.
Right.
There's probably tribes out there that we don't even know exist.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking to humans as a species has no idea that they're there,
Yep. I think I read it somewhere here. I think I actually saved it. Let me see if I can bring it up on my computer. That's one thing handy about doing the podcast like this is I have my computer here. Let's see. How many uncontacted tribes are there? It says here that there's more. The estimate is that there's more than 100 uncontacted tribes around the world. That's amazing. A lot. That is a large group of people. It says numbering almost up to 10,000 individuals. That's interesting. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if they found one that happened to be a larger, hairy group of people?
Right.
You know what I mean? That'd be. Mm-hmm. And then what? Does a Sasquatch become a, if he's a Yeti, is he an Asian Sasquatchian, or is he, you know what I mean? If he's in America, is he a North American Sasquatchian, or what?
Sasquatchian.
Sasquatchian. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah, so I'm curious about it, and I don't know. Interesting stuff, though. I could go on all night about uncontacted tribes, because that's a subject that fascinates the hell out of me.
Yep. Well, let's try not to.
Yeah. Yeah, we're about an hour here.
I was gonna say we're sitting right at an hour right now. So
yeah. We should probably let these folks get on with their Monday and get out of their hair for a week.
Yep.
But you guys out there, if you want to support this little show, we appreciate it. You don't have to, but you can check out our Patreon. It'll be on the link to this video. And if you are seeing this or listening to this a week later than you're supposed to have, then I'm sorry about that. But there's really nothing we could do about it. It's all hosting issues. We'll put it that way. But all the episodes will catch up, and we'll get back on track with that. So yeah, we definitely appreciate it, guys.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Guys, take care of yourselves.
Yep.
Keep writing in.
Yeah.
Definitely keep emailing.
More emails. We love emails.
Give Gibbs his alien encounters.
Yeah, give me some UFO stuff.
Yeah, UFOs.
Right.
I love that stuff.
Absolutely. I think eventually the goal should be to sit down and do the podcast from a UFO.
I mean, I'm down.
I'm down.
Yeah. It would be pretty cool. We get Sasquatch in there, we get a dog man in there, we get some aliens, and we just gather them up and just start,
we instead of going to Area 51, we go to Hangar 18 up in Dayton.
Yeah. Just sit them down and be like, all right, guys, it's time to discuss this. What the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, we're like, hey, you guys like mead?
We're gonna have to distract the local. The local Army and Air Force, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're going to need a distraction.
Probably had to be made. Just roll a barrel in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely something. Either get them drunk or, invoke Operation Bullet Sponge.
Oh, God. All right, guys.
Yep.
You guys out there take care of each other. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you guys.
Yeah, hey.
It's so cold
staring at the moon and missing you. I may be a ghost haunting the world. I spend all my time floating through the air.